Hello, my name is Jalil Bouamama. I'm a sales engineer with LiveAction, based out of Palo Alto, California. And today I'll be walking you through two different topics. One of them is the advanced reporting, and then the second one is the network visualization and troubleshooting using LiveNX. So again, we'll cover some of the reports that you will be able to generate within the solution, cover some of the advanced filters that you can apply to these reports, and then the second part will be really focused on how to use the solution to troubleshoot network issues. All right, let's take a look. So basically, within the advanced reports, you have the ability to filter by a site or an IP address, or if let's say you're troubleshooting a QoS issue and you want to track the DSCP markings of your voice traffic, you will be able to leverage these advanced filters to be able to get to the traffic that you're interested in very quickly and easily. You can also combine the flex search. So if let's say I'm interested in the DSCP marking of a specific IP, I can combine the IP address and the DSCP marking. And then LiveNX will show us that within the report, or you can also use it within the topology views that we have. And then so you basically have the ability to take multiple flex searches and combine them to create a very complex one that you can leverage to get to the traffic that you're interested in. When it comes to the LiveNX reporting, we have a lot of different reports that you can pick from. Today I'll be just covering some of the popular ones like the application report. And this report basically gives you an idea about the top applications within your network. Every time we deploy LiveNX, we always run this report to help customers understand the top applications within the network, and then also which application is consuming all the bandwidth. This next report is another popular one, and this is really a critical report for customers with QoS. And let's say you have voice traffic that you maybe have that's maybe having issues, and you want to start with validating that the QoS policies are set up correctly for your voice traffic. You will be able to leverage the DSCP report that will give you an idea about the markings of your critical applications. Could be voice, video, Citrix, some other application. You'll be able to track it using this report. And then the top conversations or the top talkers report, this is a report that we use to track the users on the network and then the bandwidth utilization for each user. The IPs and ports, another very popular one, and a lot of security teams leverage this report because this report has a lot of details like the protocols, the source destination IP, source destination ports, the application name. So think of this report like multiple reports merged together into a single report. And then the interface bandwidth, this is another good report to be able to track the bandwidth on the interfaces. And one of the really cool things about these reports is the ability to drill down from one report to another. So if let's say I'm looking at this interface bandwidth report and I see that my core interface is consuming, or there's a lot of traffic going through my one of the interfaces, I can right click on that interface and drill down and get to the top talkers report or the application report and figure out what type of traffic is consuming all my bandwidth. The protocol port report, this is another popular report that basically shows all the different protocols and then the bandwidth utilization for each one. And then the ABC report, this requires a special license on the Cisco routers to be able to get this information from the network devices, or if we don't have a Cisco router, maybe it's a multi-vendor environment, or maybe it's an old switch that doesn't support the ABC. data, we can always leverage the packet capture appliances that we talked about on the part 1 video of the training. So if you haven't seen that, I'll recommend going back and watching the part 1, because that covers the different packet capture appliances that we offer. That will allow you to give this data in places where, let's say, you have old switch, or maybe you have another vendor that doesn't support AVC technology. The jitter loss report, this is another report that requires the AVC data on the routers, or we can always leverage the packet capture appliances to get this data. The device flow count report, this is a report that we use to size the VM of LiveAction. So if, let's say, you're doing a POC and you want to move your devices into a production environment, this will give you an idea about the flow rate and then what the VM size that will fit your environment. The interface bandwidth summary, this is a good report for tracking interface bandwidth on specific traffic. So if, let's say, I'm deploying maybe QoS and I need to get an idea about the bandwidth utilization for my voice traffic, so I can start building my queues, I can use this report to be able to get an idea about the bandwidth usage, and then from here we can size the QoS policies correctly. Or you can use it for any network or application bandwidth monitoring. The user filter DSCP auto report, this is a good report that you can leverage to make sure your critical applications like RTP or SIP are being marked correctly. So you can use this after a QoS deployment. So basically, let's say you just deployed QoS and you want to make sure the policies are working correctly. This is a really powerful report that you can leverage to track the DSCP mismarks within your network. This is a very similar report, but this one leverages the application name. So if, let's say, I want to know if my WebEx or Skype or Citrix is marked correctly, this is a report that will show you the actual application name and then the DSCP markings for the application. Okay, so that was the reporting within the solution. So let's talk about the visualization and the troubleshooting features of LiveAction. So LiveAction is very famous for the topology map. So the engineers really love this topology, and what this does, it basically builds a mental model of a network engineer. So when the network engineers, when they start building networks, they start on a whiteboard drawing circles and lines across these circles. So this interface basically gives you that same feel. And one of the other cool things that we do with this interface is we take the flow data that we're collecting from the network devices and then we stitch it across the topology, and we can show you how the traffic is flowing across your environment. So in what you see on my screen here, the red, the blue, these are different applications, or it could be different type of traffic basically. And then we have the filter here set to DSCP, so that I can just look at the traffic and get an idea about the DSCP markings of my traffic. This is a device view, and let's say one of the devices is experiencing drops or memory or CPU issues. I can just look at the device and get an idea about the health of it. On this example, you notice the color is amber, and every time the device turns amber, that usually means there is a QoS drop on one of the interfaces. And if you look at the interfaces, you'll be able to identify the interface is dropping traffic very easily. You can also see other information like how much bandwidth is going in and out of the interfaces. If you want to find out more about the interface, you can just hover over it, and the LiveAction will tell you if there is an ACL or a QoS policy applied to it. So again, these different views that we have can help you get to the information you need without going through graphs and reports. The flow troubleshooting workflows that you have within the engineering console is very cool, because sometimes if, let's say, the service provider is remarking your traffic, or maybe there is a switch within the data center that's stripping the DSCP markings, you'll be able to just look at the topology and get an idea about the markings. In this example, you can see the red arrow leaving this 2921. it's basically EF traffic. So if, let's say, we're marking traffic correctly on this side of the network, but let's say the traffic hits the MPLS and loses the marking, you'll be able to visually track that using the topology map. And then within the engineering console, or the flow topology, you have different filters. The first one is a filter that we use to track specific type of flow. So if, let's say, I just want to focus on ABC or MediaNet or ASA firewall or something, I can select the flow type, and then LiveAction will just show you the traffic from those specific devices. The next one is more like a network DVR, so I can go back in time and see exactly what was going on my network. So you notice here we have the current time. So if, let's say, you're troubleshooting a live issue, you'll be able to set this to the current time, and LiveAction will show you all the live traffic that's going through the network. But let's say maybe a user had a problem Tuesday at 2 p.m. I can always go back and see what was happening. You notice on this little calendar, we have the current time, and then we also have a date and time, but we don't have a time interval. So if, let's say, I want to see the traffic that was on the network between 9:23 and between 8:23 and 9:23, even though I don't have a time interval, what I can do is I can set this to 9:23 and then set the polling interval to last hour. And this will show us all the traffic that was on the network between 8:23 and 9:23. So that's how you can apply a time interval to the topology map. And then this other filter is a filter that we use to track custom applications. So if, let's say, I have voice or Citrix, and I don't want to type the IPs and the ports all the time in a flex search. If, let's say, you have specific subnets or ports or protocols or devices that I want to focus on, I can just create a filter for the traffic I'm interested in, and then I can apply this filter to the topology, and that will show you just the traffic that you have set up within those filters. This other filter is used for top talkers monitoring. So if, let's say, I want to monitor the top 10 or top 50 or top 200, I can just apply the filter that works for me. Or maybe I want to monitor the bottom 10 or bottom 50. I can always use this filter to do that. And then the last filter is used for troubleshooting. So if, let's say, I've just deployed KeyOS and I want to make sure my voice traffic is set up correctly, what I can do with this filter, I can set up a filter for my voice, apply it to the topology, and then set the last filter to the DSCP, and this basically will show us the markings of that traffic. You can also use other filters like the rate, and this will show you the different rates, the different bandwidth rate for the traffic. And if, let's say, you want to know which user is consuming all your bandwidth, you'll be able to visually see that by leveraging the rate filter. If, let's say, you have specific traffic that you're interested in and you know the port or the IP address, you can always search for it in the search field. And then the syntax that we're using here, it's all available under the question mark. So if you click on the question mark, you'll be able to see the different examples that we use to search for traffic. You can also leverage the filters plus the search field. The filters in the search field can also be leveraged within the report. So if, let's say, I just want to focus on a specific IP or something and run a time series report on it, I will be able to do that within the reporting. The flow visualization or the device view is also one of the really cool views within the solution. So you have the topology view where you see all your devices, but let's say sometimes I don't want to look at all my devices. I just want to focus on a device or a site. I can just click on the device and LiveAction will take us to this view. So think of this like a live NetFlow report where you will be able to see all the traffic going in and out of the device in real time. And then you can always leverage the advanced technologies. Let's say you're looking at a Cisco device and you have AVC enabled on that device. With AVC, we'll be able to get deeper visibility into the application names and then also the health of those applications. And then this is just showing the how AVC works. So basically, the router is what's being used to collect the performance information. So the different fields that you see here. So let's say the network delay. So the network delay is how long the application took to get from the client to the server. The client network delay is the time that the application took to get from the client to the router, and then the server network delay is how long the application took to get from the router to the server, and then the application delay is how long the application took to come back from the server. So AVC can be very useful to answer that common question around, is it the network? Is it the application that's causing a problem? There is also the application path analysis, and this is very useful if you want to track the application performance hop by hop. You notice we have gray and green. So gray basically means that the device doesn't support AVC. So basically we're just getting basic net flow information from it, which is good data. With basic net flow, we can collect DSCP information, the bit rate, the application name, but with AVC, you'll be able to get deeper visibility into the performance. So if you see green, that means that the application is doing good. If you see red, that's usually a network performance issue. It could be high retransmissions or high network delay. And if, let's say, one of the sites or one of the devices doesn't support AVC, you can always leverage the packet capture appliances to get AVC data out of the devices that don't support it. The MediaNet path analysis is very similar. So what MediaNet is doing is basically monitoring RTP or UDP traffic. AVC is monitoring your TCP application. So with AVC, you get network delay, application delay. With MediaNet, you get the MOS score, jitter, packet loss. So basically any network issues related to voice traffic or real-time traffic. And then the same thing applies to MediaNet. If you see gray, that means the device doesn't support MediaNet. If you see green, that means the voice traffic or the RTP traffic is doing fine. If you see red, that's usually high packet loss or jitter. There is also a really cool feature called the flow playback or the DVR. So let's say there was a problem on the network, this morning at 5 a.m. I can go to the device and then select the date and time and hit play, and LiveAction will show us all the traffic that was going in and out of the device. And a lot of customers use this for network monitoring and then also security monitoring. So let's say there was a malicious IP on my network and I want to know what was happening. I can go back and replay all the details about the traffic that was on my network. Okay, thank you very much for your time today. To learn more or to download your free trial, please feel free to visit www.liveaction.com.